Periodically, in the history of this great university, we recognize an individual for his or her outstanding accomplishments for our state and for our country. Today, we are indeed privileged to have someone of extraordinary talent and accomplishments, and that is our own senior statesman from Louisiana, Senator John Breaux. Senator John Breaux has honorably and effectively served Louisiana and our nation as a political leader for more than 30 years. Elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1972, at an age of 28, he was the youngest member of Congress at that time. He served 7 terms in the House before his election to the Senate, for which he plans to retire at the end of his 3rd term later this year. As a senior member of the Finance Committee, Senator Breaux serves as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Social Security and Family Policy. As a leader of the Senate's centrist coalition, Senator Breaux has fought tirelessly against the partisan gridlock and political gamesmanship that often derail important legislation. He is widely respected on both sides of the aisle for building bipartisan coalitions to address difficult issues such as welfare and health insurance reform. But let me tell you a little about the personal side of John Breaux. John Breaux is a bona fide Cajun from Crowley, Louisiana, the rice capital of America. He was an only child born to a father who worked in the oil fields and a mother who was a dressmaker. After earning his law degree, John Breaux went to work as a district assistant to then Congressman Edwin Edwards and was elected to that congressional seat when Edwards became governor. Today, the senator is a distinguished statesman beloved by his constituents and lauded by presidents and leaders of both parties and around the world. But you know what? That was not always the case. In 1972, when then Congressman Breaux won a seat in Congress, he was invited to the White House by Republican President Richard Nixon, who was reaching out to Southern Democrats, knowing he was facing impeachment. Congressman Breaux found himself seated next to the president at lunch. And by the way, he was on one of those very delicate little gilded White House chairs that you often see at state dinners. And when President Nixon stood up to speak, Congressman Breaux leaned back and turned to face the president. When Congressman Breaux turned in his seat, the chair broke, and he actually fell flat on his back. President Nixon looked down at him and said, "Are you all right, young man?" Congressman Breaux assured the president that he was just fine, got up and took another chair as the president went on to give one of his famous speeches that he was not a crook. Even today, Senator Breaux laughs about it as his most embarrassing moment in 32 years in Congress. I can think of a lot of politicians, by the way, who would be thrilled to have such an incident be their only embarrassing moment. Today, we are going to give Senator Breaux the highest recognition we can give someone outside of the Academy, and that is Tulane University's President's Medal. It is awarded to those individuals who have not only distinguished themselves by their accomplishments, but have proven that they are a special friend of Tulane University. Throughout his tenure in Washington, Senator Breaux has truly been a friend to Tulane and higher education. From proposing real tax relief for college education expenses to protecting the role of graduate medical education and Medicare reform. Senator Breaux has been an exemplary advocate for all Louisiana citizens. From his role as a champion for coastal wetlands protection and restoration to his unceasing efforts to ensure affordable, accessible health care for all. This is a man who has really helped the state of Louisiana and in the process, our nation. He has committed himself to making government work for people. Most of all, though, he is a man of tremendous warmth and humor. I had the great privilege of meeting Senator Breaux for the first time 6 years ago when I became president of Tulane University, and I remember the moment very well, even though he may not. As most of you know, I was born and raised and educated on the East Coast, lived in the Midwest for 25 years, and my first time that I'd ever come to New Orleans was when I became president of Tulane University. So I was sitting in Senator Breaux's chambers in Washington, and he said to me, "Scott, how are you adjusting to New Orleans in Louisiana?" And I said, "You know, Senator, I am quite surprised to say I am adjusting well. It seems I was born to be here." And he looked at me and he said, "Where are you originally from?" And I said, "I am from New Jersey." And he says, "That explains it all." And to this day, I still don't know whether that was a compliment or an insult, but I have never forgotten the story. It is now my great pleasure to call forth Senator John Breaux to receive Tulane University's President's Medal for Outstanding Achievement to our state and to our country. It is now my great pleasure to ask Senator Breaux to address our graduates and their friends and their family. Senator Breaux.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Scott, my good friend. Go Greenies! I don't know, after all the beautiful remarks we've heard and Kate Earle's comment, I mean, her remarks were really a commencement address. I think we should just have a party now and get on with it. In a few minutes, the jazz band will march through the auditorium. The floats will come out from that side. The beads will be thrown, and we'll all have a great afternoon. I want to thank so much the opportunity to be with all of you and your families. I want to thank the university for this distinguished honor. I'm indeed most grateful for it and the kind comments that Scott has made. I appreciate them so very much. I think back, as Kate Earle said very accurately, about commencement speakers and what they say and who they are. And I can tell you very honestly that when I try to remember who my commencement speaker was or what he said, I have absolutely no memory of either one. I don't remember who it was or what he had to say. And I know that commencement speeches are indeed very challenging, but I also got a lot of advice about this particular commencement address that I am about to give from Scott Cowan. And he said, first of all, be interesting, but be brief. He said, be helpful, but be brief. He said, be meaningful, but be brief. Do you notice a theme? To all the class of 2004, let me say how much I personally congratulate each and every one of you on this very, very special day of accomplishment and recognition that you have. Now, to all the parents and to the grandparents and to the friends and the aunts and the uncles and people from all throughout the United States and foreign countries that are gathered here in the audience, let me also offer my congratulations to you as well for all of the sacrifices that you have made so these young men and women here today can have an opportunity for a better life and a bright future because of their graduation from this great university. Now, you know, the world outside of Tulane that all of you, the graduates, are about to enter is both wonderful and at the same time it's going to be very challenging. Your graduation today itself is a powerful symbol of what is right in America, and there is a lot right in America. We are the strongest nation in the world. Arguably, we are the strongest nation in the history of the world. We are the wealthiest country in the world, and at the same time, our citizens are compassionate and among the top givers to charity and the most active volunteers in the world. We have record levels of stock ownership, unrivaled productivity, and boundless creativity among our citizens. The United States is among the highest spender on education in the world. Our economy is truly a model of ingenuity and imagination, and at the same time, we are really the economic engine that drives the global marketplace throughout the world. Even our popular culture, the music we listen to, the movies we watch, the television shows that we see, truly set the trends for the rest of the world. Our country boasts more patent applications than all of Europe and more Nobel Prizes than the rest of the world combined. And many of you are going to be future entrepreneurs and inventors, and many of you will start your own individual businesses. Yet as I look out over this sea of achievement, I can't help but be reminded of what in many ways is a profound and troubling contradiction about our country. On the very same day that this distinguished university, Tulane, and other universities around the country graduate you, our future leaders, we must also at the same time recognize the flip side of life in America. And on that flip side, our country is also plagued with higher rates of homicide and poverty and infant mortality and HIV infection than many other developed democracies in the world. And economic inequality is more severe in the United States than in many other developed nations. And the life expectancy of our population is lower than it should be. We have high rates of teen pregnancy and a frightening obesity epidemic in our country today. And Americans save less, and voter participation in our elections is shockingly low, and we have an unconscionable number of our citizens in this country with absolutely no health insurance at all. So this is really the story of two Americas, and this is what I refer to as the good news and the bad news. We are the undisputed best in many social and economic indicators, and simultaneously the worst in many others. But America has faced many crises before, in this century as well. And in each time we have come away a stronger nation. We struggled through a Great Depression where young students had to actually quit school in order to help feed their families. We have fought 2 world wars to help restore sanity in the world, and we have fought in Korea and Vietnam, and even today we struggle in Iraq. We have endured mindless attacks from our own people, as was the case in the Oklahoma City bombing of our federal courthouse. And we suffered the tragic loss of our own citizens by foreign terrorist attacks against the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. on September the 11th. But America is a survivor. We have survived in the past, and we will continue to survive in the future because our people are strong. You know, news anchor Tom Brokaw, after walking the beaches of Normandy, France on the 40th anniversary of the D-Day invasion, was so impressed with what he saw and what happened there that he wrote a great book, which became a bestseller that he entitled The Greatest Generation. Now, I agree with Tom Brokaw that the generation that fought and won World War II were incredible and are incredible men and women who sacrificed greatly so that the rest of the world could be free. But let me suggest that the greatest generation of Americans may yet to come. Let me suggest that maybe 50 or 75 years from now, some prominent writer can look back in history and write that you, the class of 2004, were really America's greatest generation. And why not? Most of those that Tom Brokaw wrote about had not even attended a college. They grew up in terrible economic times. Many had never even seen a doctor until they took their Army physical. And yet, they helped save the world. You, the class of 2004, have the tools, have the education, and you have the training to truly become America's next greatest generation. So how do you do it? What's the formula? How do you become America's greatest generation? Well, I doubt that the generation of Americans that Tom Brokaw wrote about ever thought or planned to become the greatest generation. They just tried to live their lives day by day, every day, in the sense that you are probably very much like they were, thinking, just let me graduate and get the heck out of here. I suggest that one way to establish this one America that I'm speaking of for all of us is to create a new and an improved social contract among all of you, our next generation. I envision a new contract where our society promises not just to take care of the vulnerable people or older people, but a society that dedicates itself to a system that creates wealth. We need a new social contract that offers flexible and stable health insurance for everyone, provides choices for our people, and gives all Americans a meaningful stake in the health of our country. I imagine a system that is both fair and flexible, a system that brings all people into the American mainstream by sharing responsibility among government and business and individuals. We need a pact among those who reap the benefits of what is best in America and those who are forced to endure the worst. In this era of job mobility and high technology, we need a new way of doing business. This will be a different system, and this will be a big change. And graduates, this is where all of you come in. I know these sorts of things are far from your mind, especially on this day, and I don't blame you. I certainly didn't think about it at my graduation, but soon enough it will hit you. When you get that job, you're going to start questioning the system. You're going to realize that we can do better to provide health care and grow prosperity and provide retirement security for our people. Businesses can be more responsible and also more accountable, and government can certainly do a better job of bridging the gap. You'll discover how important a transformation is to the health of our society. And if we succeed, everyone will have a permanent stake in the system. The advantages you have when you leave Tulane today will be available to everyone. The American experiment values independence, hard work, and innovation. These are the values that make our country great, and these are the values that we celebrate today at your graduation. Pushing this new social contract to the forefront can be the legacy of your generation. You can demand the transformation of the American social fabric. It ain't going to be easy, and it won't happen without your active and sustained participation. You are all sophisticated and very talented people, but ultimately the success of this transformation will depend on what you're willing to do to make it work. Are you willing to try new solutions? Are you willing to reject politics that reflects and celebrates bickering and fighting and blame at the expense of solutions that are dedicated to our common good? The ingredients for change are right here. You need to assert your rights, exercise your power, pay attention, accept responsibility, and participate. You are on the cusp of the revolution, and I hope that you will succeed. With every advance that you make, with every step forward, it will require more participation and higher levels of passion. Now, I suspect that some of you, and for some of you, the turmoil around the world over the past few years might cause you to want to turn inward. It's easy to be discouraged. The answer to this hopelessness is optimism. The remedy is and always will be young people brimming with optimism and ingenuity and idealism and better ideas. Many of you already know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Many of you probably are maybe already working in the very area that you will be working in the future. But many of you probably have absolutely no idea of what you are going to be doing and are thinking right now, what the heck am I going to do? Now, for those in this category, let me caution you, don't mention this to your parents. Tell them anything. Tell them you are considering your options and suggest to them that you also might need a place to stay while you work out the details. Tell them also a little cash might help. But always remember that life is a balancing act. And on your way to achieving your goals and changing the world at the same time, remember the two Americas that I mentioned here today and take the time to do your part to change our society. Celebrate what is best in America while doing what you can to help fix what is not. We're depending on you. Think big, have fun, and like America, your best days lie ahead. And I look forward to your achievements, and I hope that you will become America's next greatest generation. Congratulations to the class of 2004.